The sponsor of my stream and podcast is DistroKid. If you want 10% off on your first subscription with DistroKid, release your music to the world on every major music platform. Make sure to go to my website, andrewvanzark.com, and click on the discount link under the tab of DistroKid. The information on this podcast is my opinion and some internet research.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
Welcome to Star Wars Chatter, hosted by Andrew Van Zark. Now you're listening with power. Hello, welcome to the Star Wars Chatter. I'm Andrew Van Zark, and this is your safe space which goes Star Wars and music. So today we're going to talk about the Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 6, Tribe. Has a lot of cool things to showcase, so let's get started. This episode feels very similar to that Star Wars, The Clone Wars, and that doesn't seem like a mistake at all. There were several planned episodes for that series that were created by Dave Filoni, and it seems like those ideas have been integrated into the timeline of the Bad Batch. This episode showcased some of the best action sequences we have seen so far, but does almost raise more questions that it doesn't question as we wonder about Gungi's ultimate fate. So, the return of the Jedi's Padawan Gungi, the main focus of the episode was to be Gungi, who was previously featured in Star Wars The Clone Wars alongside a group of younglings who trained with Ahsoka and Master Yoda while building their lightsabers. We have seen a little insight in Gungi's past, but quite a few gaps remain. We still don't know who his master was, how he lived through Order 66, or even where he was during Order 66. I'm sure that theories about Gungi rescuing Grogu from the Jedi Temple will swirl around here, there, and every place, So that would be awesome if that was true, but we simply don't really know enough to say where has he been. So let's skip to the present here and not blabber too much on what we're talking about. But when we find Gungi, the Bad Batch is more than willing to help him out. Understandably, he was afraid of the clones, but not Omega. Interesting, because Omega always is the voice of reason, always keeps everything cooled and collected. So I'm sure that things will be a little bit more connected with Omega and Gungi. I'm curious if Gungi, or other Jedis for that matter, will be able to sense that Omega is also a clone. For that matter, we still don't know what or if has any special modifications. Perhaps she is force sensitive, as many of you might be wondering. I was wondering that too the whole episode. Is she force sensitive? That's a good question to note out, honestly. So the thing is, the topic of this episode, so kids at war. Kids in the galaxy far, far away are subject to many bad things, and starting off with the Jedi Temple, the Jedi Temple takes kids from their families, and that's a really sad thing to note out. But, the whole episode is letting them know that even if you're a kid in the galaxy far, far away, you're not really going to live a kid's life. You're going to be submitted to war, to really devastating situations. So the main focus of this episode has to be the concept that Gungi and Omega are kids growing up in a continuing war. Both Omega and Gungi have been trained for combat essentially since birth. But even still, we see their youthful stubbornness rear its head when they both charge headlong into battle. While a Wookiee Jedi is something that has been really interesting, to say the least. So, after Order 66, we can certainly be absolutely terrified to see anyone make Gungi a target, So, as a kid, though both Omega and Gungi are hopeful, whether it is being Omega's insistence on helping others or Gungi's connection through the Force, you might be asking yourself. So, to the trees, both of them show the innocence and selflessness of kids. It was also uplifting to see the Bad Batch respect the Wookiees' tradition and go with a plan that they probably thought was silly, but eventually worked, like talking to the trees and making sure the trees were doing what they wanted to do. So it's one of those things, it's one of those things that keeps you thinking, what does this mean in many shapes and forms, So The idea of a tribe and Gungi finally being able to return makes an excellent story for the Bad Batch. This is the kind of work that Echo and possibly the audience of the show have been really looking forward to. It's quite nostalgic to see clones working with a Jedi again, and comforting to say the least. So know that at least one of those beloved younglings made it out of Order 66 again. So this was one of the best episodes of the entire show so far, and hopefully we have more like this on the store soon. And I'm really hoping for that to be a thing, because what if Omega actually has Force sensitivity? That would be something to be questioning yourself, and that would be really awesome if they actually implement that in the series, if I might say so myself. But it's something that has been discussed before, and I keep on asking myself. Right now Star Wars is setting up the most unlikely rebel leader. As the Empire begins to make the civilians of the galaxy suffer in the Bad Batch Season 2, one of the heroes is being forged into the perfect rebel leader. So the thing is, Star Wars: The Bad Batch Season 2 is slowly growing one of its characters to be a future leader of the rebellion, similarly to Andor. Bad Batch has been exploring the dark times brought on by the Empire after Order 66. The majority of the Jedis were eradicated and were no longer there to promote peace and justice in the galaxy. The few clones who did not execute Order 66, such as Clone Force 99 in this case, were forced to run and hide to avoid being captured by the Empire. Like Cody said, the difference between a battle droid and a clone is that clones decide, they have a will. Even though they have an inhibitor chip, if you get it removed, you get yourself the chance to decide what you want to do, whether diplomacy or actually go to war. But some clones still go for war. It's a thing, like Crosshair. So, these difficult circumstances proved to be the perfect fire for which to forge and refine a future leader in the Rebel Alliance. So Clone Force 99 seems to run from crisis to crisis, and Omega is the main reason why. In Star Wars: The Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 5, Omega's curiosity led the team to the Calder Ternary system, where they discover one of these Star Wars vs. KOTOR connections. Just the next episode, Omega's curiosity led them helping an Order 66 survivor flee to the Wookiee homeworld of Kashyyyk. Having lived her whole life in Kamino, it's not surprising Omega takes interest in unfamiliar people and strange situations. But even though she often meddles in things she ought not to do, she also knows deep compassion for the outcast and oppressed. So, is Omega growing to be a potential leader? Well, Star Wars: The Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 6 seems to be setting up Omega's future's role as the leader in the rebellion. While on one of their routine missions, she hears sounds of disturbance and comes to the rescue of Gungi, a Wookiee from Order 66 survivor. So who is being smuggled by the Vanguard Axis? As per usual, instead of leaving things be, Omega decides to attack the droids and free Gungi. She ultimately demonstrates the instinct of leadership, directing him to the safety of her ship. When the droids of the Vanguard Axis confront Clone Force 99, she stands her ground, insisting they have no rights to hurt him. Without Omega standing in front and up for Gungi, the Bad Batch may have turned a blind eye to this plight. To his plight for the sake of complementing their deal. As the leader of Clone Force 99, Hunter isn't heartless, but he is pragmatic to say the least. If Hunter had been in charge of the situation, he might have suggested that the others mind their business, but in this instance, Omega leads the other clones into helping Gungi back to his homeworld. And like I always mention on my show, Omega is the voice of reason. If it weren't for Omega, many of the things they do wouldn't be possible, or wouldn't have ever happened. So she isn't afraid to speak about the true morality of a situation, and the rest of the crew can't help but follow her when she does. So Omega has a lot of compassion, and to become a rebel, it's not a surprising thing to say the least. So Omega is destined to become a leader in the rebellion, precisely because she can't sit back and watch others suffer. She and the others clones have already begun to experience the Empire's closing its fist on the people of the galaxy, and as time goes on, it will only get worse. The Empires will take away more and more rights from the people. She will grow up in a world where the ground slips away beneath her, forcing her to take a stand with the rebellion. Given Omega's origin with Jango Fett, she is poised to become one of the most unlikely rebellion leader in the Star Wars The Bad Batch and beyond. Now, this begs the question, is Omega, like I was mentioning before, Force sensitive? Is she going to be a rebel leader? It's a lot of questions that you might be asking yourself that we don't know until the next episode comes to play or the whole season finishes, because there's a lot of things that have been boiling up till this point, like the survivors from the oppression of Count Dooku, like the way they killed that separatist leader, and so many things. You know, it's building up something really crazy, if you ask me, and I really don't know where this is heading, but I do have a feeling it's gonna end up in either Omega showing up as a rebel leader or as a Force-sensitive character. Because I do have a feeling that even though she's a clone, she might have Force sensitivity around herself. You know? Maybe they injected some of that. Don't know how, but it could be a theory. Could be something that maybe she developed while being formed as a clone. Because, you know, the Clone Force 99 do have their own weird, special, unique abilities that not many clones have. Actually, no clone has, and that makes them unique. And having the idea of Omega being Force sensitive wouldn't surprise me, but at the same time, it will catch me off guard because I was not expecting it in the first place. I just thought it was just a clone that had special powers, but that's it. No Force sensitivity to be heard of, but at the end of the day, this is a story that can be built up, and it's based on sci-fi fantasy, and anything can happen, anything can flow, anything can go, you know? Those are things that I like about Star Wars, you know? It could just flow into any direction, into any form, and sometimes the directors, the producers, and the animators listen to the public, and they actually do things that theories have said before. And many theories have been called out to be true at this point. And there's a lot of legend stuff that actually ends up being considered canon. Like Herald of the Empire, for example. You know, Thrawn and all that has been considered canon now. So, there's many reasons why you would enjoy the development of this theory with Omega. I certainly would love and enjoy that to be a thing, you know. But, yeah. Anyway, those are my thoughts and my opinions on the latest episode of The Bad Batch. Hope you all had a great time, a great day. And may the Force be with you. I'll catch you on the flip side. Adios, amigos. Roll that outro.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker. But you are not a Jedi yet.
This was Star Wars Chatter, your safe space which goes Star Wars, music, video games, and other geeky topics. Listen on AMP, the Amazon Radio app, and get yourself started by listening to my music on every major music platform under Andrew Van Zark. But if you want to have more information, go to my website, www.andrewvanzark.com, where you can find all my social medias, music, and everything else all in one page.
Trust in the Force, no light speeding, and buckle up. Now you're listening with power. Power to the music, and may the Force be with you.
TV!